All right, everybody. If I were to ask you what two candidates that were both on the ballot in New York would you never expect a voter to pick simultaneously? I'll tell you, one of those candidates is Trump. Who that would vote for Trump would you never expect to also vote for? I'm going to answer the question, because this is actually too broad for anyone to know. AOC. Yeah, actually, no, you got it right, The Rails. Either you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about, which you might, but, well, I guess it is in the title, kinda. But yeah, AOC. Yeah, AOC had a massive split ballot where a bunch of people voted for her, and they voted for Donald Trump as president. That's huge. That suggests to us that it's not the hate or divisive rhetoric that won Trump the election, nor the fact that he's a rapist or that he's a criminal. Those things were just not deal breakers, which is definitely a big, black pill on the American, voter base. But I do think it's a little bit of a silver lining to recognize hate is not what won here. It was ignorance that won. Lack of education won. So I think it's important that we look at why people voted for AOC and Trump, and I'm sure you can guess the reasons already, if you know anything about both these candidates. But the fact that people are willing to vote Dem and vote Trump goes to show what they have in common is exactly what the Dems need to lean into more. I feel this alone tells you that AOC and Bernie's politics are genuinely what a lot of people in America want now. Maybe it wasn't popular enough to win in 2016, 2019, but hell, now it might be what the Dems need to win, period. It'd be a crazy flip of general sentiment, but crazy high inflation will do that to a country,
With just 4 days left to go, Vice President Harris is using the last few days to campaign through the critical swing states today.
Wait, what? Why? What? Why is this video the thing that's pinned, huh? Okay, so I'm assuming that MSNBC just puts that at the top of the article that has nothing to do with it. I don't even know. I don't even know, dude. I genuinely don't even know. Here's a thing from
something really
CNN.
interesting, guy.
Oh, God, I hate YouTube so much. Anyway, here's the same thing, but from CNN, but it's actually about the topic. God, I hate MSNBC. I'm not gonna lie. MSNBC might be my least favorite, mainstream media outlet.
Something really interesting, guys. Kevin, let me start with you. So sure. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, very progressive New Yorker, she went on Instagram to ask people, looking at the polls and realizing, hey, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that voted for me in my district and also voted for Donald Trump. Why? But she asked in a nice way to explain, and some of the response, she's posting the responses, some of them, quote, "It's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class." Quote, "I feel that you are both outsiders compared to the rest of D.C. and less establishment." Quote, "I support you and did this. Felt like I didn't have much of a choice."
I don't know what jittering effect is happening with all this stuff right now, but I'm guessing it's just an issue with CNN's upload. I've never had this problem before. I don't know what causes this.
After Biden's administration. What do you think?
Well, and some of those notes also struck a chord when...
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we are polling for a group of people who voted AOC, right? So obviously they care about the working class, but the fact that people would split the ballot with AOC and Trump, I mean, God, how willing as a progressive do you have to be to go back on your principles to vote Trump? Or how much do you have to be willing to vote for socialism, basically? If you're a Republican, how willing are you to do that if this is the case? If this is a broader trend and it's not just the case for her voter base in New York, if these politics are truly what can reach across the aisle and pull voters away from the right, just a hard lean into pro-working class stuff, then, man, I hope the DNC and just the future Democrat candidates get the right message from this. I feel like Bernie's losses in the past have kind of done a really good job of giving this idea that the Dems don't need to move further left to the extent of Bernie, because it might not be well responded to by the American people. But it's possible that in 4 years that's completely changed. Inflation's high as fuck. People might be leaning more towards some radical, insane ideas now if it's something different than the status quo, because the status quo has just gotten so unbearable for a lot of Americans.
When it comes to authenticity, right? They talked about being authentic candidates for office. Listen, Donald Trump increased his share in that New York City district, AOC's district, by double digits. So you're seeing, and I think you're going to see a lot more of this analysis go on, especially in the states where you saw a high level of ticket splitting, whether it be Democratic senators holding their own in Wisconsin, electing obviously a Democratic governor in North Carolina, while losing the state to Donald Trump. You're going to see these Democrats, I think, now reassess what messaging kind of broke through and what Donald Trump was able to capture in terms of the energy on the ground.
The ticket splitting so interesting, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I talked to Jamal Bowman the other day, outgoing member, also up there in the Bronx, and he said the same thing. He said, a lot of people who went for Donald Trump actually...
Wait, hold on. Okay, Popcorn is Life. It stretches belief to think that you don't know who AOC is, but in case there are more people like Popcorn is Life in chat that don't, I'll explain. AOC is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Those are her initials. She is a congresswoman who ran in New York and won. She is like several terms in now. She's been quite popular for a while. She is part of a group of politicians in the Democratic Party called the Squad, quote unquote. The Squad are the most progressive politicians in America, and they are the most progressive politicians in the DNC. Their leader, quote unquote, if you want to call it, really their inspiration and the first of their political kind of circle was Bernie Sanders. And it's obviously not just Bernie and AOC, but like all the politicians that enter like Congress, for example, or just get elected into office that tend to lean more towards Bernie's politics, like very working class oriented, very progressive. They tend to be included as part of the Squad, this sort of enclave of really progressive, Overton window pushing Dems in the party. And AOC is one of them. So she is like about as socialist as you can be as an American politician. And yet those who voted Trump split the ballot and voted for her as well in her district. And that goes to show, and she won, so it goes to show that like her rhetoric is quite popular. This like really heavily pro-working class rhetoric is probably where the Dems need to start moving with their talking points if they want to start winning people over a lot more.
Voted for me in the primary. Isn't that interesting that the campaign didn't use me on the stump, sure. Kind of taking shots. But I think he attributed it to him being just more relatable than than his opponent. And I thought that was also an interesting dynamic when you see, a lot of Latino voters changing their vote recently, going from Democrats to Republicans.
Yeah, I think it's really, obviously this is the billionaire who the working class identify with in Donald Trump. And I think the part...
Have you seen the groups, the Blacks for Trump groups, posting, like the members of it posting about how like their friends, their neighbors who are MAGA won't talk to them anymore? They're like, Trump won, I don't want to talk to you, because they're black and they were like, I don't think Trump is racist, but it breaks my heart that so many fellow MAGA people they're being racist towards me. This isn't a movement about racism. And it's just, I'm just sitting there chuckling as it's like, dude's getting his face eaten by leopards, and he's like, what do you mean? Leopards don't do this. What? It's like, man, he's still in denial as it's happening. That's crazy. As a black person, I was laughing at those videos. As a white person, I was also laughing at those videos. It's like the image from where you've got like Arnold's arm, and I forget who the other guy is, but it's like the muscular black and white arm, like clasping hands in unity. That's us right now, laughing at the Blacks for Trump groups saying, what do you mean? Trump's movement is about racism. How could this ever happen? I'm so surprised and heartbroken. It's like, dude, we tried to tell you. We tried so hard to tell you. We did. You called us racist when we told you that they were racist. You can't. I'm laughing now, all right? Now we're the ones laughing.
Where they said they're both outsiders really struck with me because, A, I think it was the economy, and both AOC and Donald Trump fight for it. different ways, different policy prescriptions, but they talk about it. And then that ability to connect with people, especially for AOC being very close to the district, but Donald Trump obviously projecting it via social media during the national media, because he did spend some time in that area, but not a lot.
Senator-elect Andy Kim of New Jersey, he used to represent this congressional district.
I'm gonna make so much money reselling GPUs once the tariffs kick in. That's so fucking real, dude. That's so real. Oh, God. Oh, God. Building a new gaming PC is going to be, like, genuinely impossible for the next 4 years. Why does the 5090 have to release during Trump's presidency? Why?
District that was a Trump district. And I remember talking to him, and I forget if this was on air or off air, but I said something like, do you know who these 50,000 people are who vote for you and vote for Donald Trump? And he knew. He knew who they were, and he knew why they voted for.
Is this panel going to point out that none of his policies are going to help the working class? I feel like at this point they probably have talked a lot about it. One thing you got to understand is that there are no experts anywhere in the world of economics that are saying Trump's policies are good for the economy. Everybody is unanimously preparing for massive economic crash except for the American voters. The American voters are all like getting ready, like they're buying shares in companies on the stock market. This is a big one. If you encounter a Trump supporter who is super confident that the economy is about to skyrocket in the next 4 years, ask them how much money they have in the stock market and tell them to show you. Ask them if they have spent like an insane amount the day after Trump got elected buying as much as they could on the stock market, as many shares of the S&P 500, for instance, as they could. Because presumably, if the economy is about to skyrocket and the stock market is going to be doing amazing under Trump, then every Trump supporter so confident in this should be buying as much as they possibly can before everything skyrockets, while we're still in the lowest point that any of these that the stock market's going to be in supposedly for the next 4 years. Why are they not putting their life savings into it? So the question is, are they confident enough that Trump's going to follow through, that they are doing that there'll be such a reckoning that when Trump starts tanking the stock market, that they're going to lose their money right away just off the stock market because they gambled it on Trump's success? Or, are they not confident enough to put their, to go all in on the stock market when they're so confident that we're about to experience economic, what's the term for it? Heaven. I have money in the stock market. I am not pulling out, but not putting in. No, I sold. I managed to sell at a profit. I'm happy to say, not like an insane. I don't have a ton of money in stock market, only a few $100s. But I sold and made profit, and I'm just keeping the money sitting there in my account until I see what things look like into Trump's presidency. Because, dude, why would I buy now when I'm pretty sure we're at the last high we're going to have for 4 years? I'm probably going to buy in the midst of Trump's presidency when things are looking awful in the stock market. I'm going to buy as many shares as I can, and then hopefully the next Dem incumbent by the end of their presidency has gotten things looking real nice, and that's when I sell. Genuinely, if you want to make good money off the stock market, you're probably better off selling and buying before and after every election. Genuinely. Did you wait for a year, or are you going to have to pay high taxes on it? I'm probably going to have to pay high taxes on it. Robinhood tells you. Twilight put that money in temporarily. Just try your best to forget it. I don't know. I would not buy anything right now. I would not buy any shares. I think we're at the last high we're going to see for quite some time in the stock market. I would sell now if you can, but it is your money. I won't give you financial advice. I'm just telling you I sold, because that's what I find to be the most smart action.
Both of them, and it's just an interesting thing, and it's obviously something that Democrats need to be doing more of.
And to your point, Jake, Senator-elect Kim, after those results came in, went on a listening tour of that congressional district in New Jersey to figure out what was powering the thought behind supporting him as a member of Congress and Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, and that spillover. And we saw it in 2016 where you had a good number of Bernie Sanders supporters, to Khadijah's point, jump over and support Donald Trump in the general election when he went down. Same with Jamal Bowman.
When they say a good number, it was like 30%, but still a pretty surprising number. This is why, to this day, a lot of liberals do not like Bernie Sanders. Well, there's a variety of reasons. Bernie Sanders he's taken some L's. Do you guys remember when net neutrality got axed? The Dems were short one vote to save net neutrality during Trump's first term, and Bernie Sanders didn't show up to work that day and wasn't present, and neglected to be there to save net neutrality. There was another situation. Bernie, a big part of why Bernie had so many supporters bleed over to voting Trump was because he refused to concede to Hillary during the primaries in 2016. Bernie kind of played a little dirty in 2016. He kind of stoked conspiracy and division among his voter base of the DNC. He refused to concede for quite some time to Hillary, suggesting that like he didn't truly lose. It was like a lot of people of memory hold this, but it was pretty bad. And so yeah, like Bernie really did create, and of course a lot of really bad people came from Bernie's campaign as well. Brianna Joy Gray, for example, being a good example of like a very like pro-Russia, anti-America, anti-voting, pro-China type tanky lefty that came out of Bernie's campaign. A lot of people that we now know as like some of the worst representations of the left came from Bernie's campaign in 2016. So yeah, there's a lot of reason why libs do not like Bernie.
Losing in that primary, you saw some of those folks probably go over to the other side and support Donald Trump. It's interesting, these changing dynamics, demographics, things on the ground.
So can we talk about the Senate Majority Leader race right now between John Thune, John Cornyn, and Rick Scott? And it is so interesting. Trump wants recess appointments. I don't know how many he wants. Like, I don't know if this is just, I just want these two because we need to get off and running, or if he wants all of them recess appointments. But if it were to happen willingly, it would be the only time that I can remember of senators just giving up power in Washington, even if for a short term. What do you make of it?
I think it's probably more appropriate on a cabinet level than it would be for a judicial level, because obviously the recess appointment only lasts for a couple of years, and he wants those young judges confirmed so they're there for a lifetime.
Right.
So I have a feeling you'll probably see a combination of both. The vast majority of those.
Worth noting, by the way, Biden is on a fast track of appointing judges, like an insanely, like he's grinding right now. He's about to surpass the amount of judges Trump appointed in his first term. So on the bright side, Biden is fighting the good fight right now to pre-damage control Trump's presidency in regards to his appointments. So that's good.
Those appointments will sail through the Senate, and there might be a couple that might be a little more outsider that he might go as a recess appointment because they're just not going to get confirmed, or the Senate doesn't want to have to vote for it.
My colleague Burgess Everett just wrote something about this, saying it's ironic because there are a lot of hurdles that you have to go through to create this. And at the same time, it actually delays the process even further. So if he wants...
Well, one thing to keep in mind as well, we did a video about this last stream. Yeah, it was last stream. The video should go out tomorrow or tonight, I believe. Basically, there's going to be a lot of mud. There's going to be a lot of mud in Trump's way to getting to his goal. He's going to have to trudge through a lot of, like, slowdowns, and that might be the only thing keeping our entire democracy from collapsing in 2 years. If we can make it to the midterms, we can put a lot more mud in his way. Like, a lot more. If the American people vote right, we can put a lot more mud in his path. And it'll be a lot harder for the next 2 years for him to achieve his agenda. And we might be able to make it to the next election without him doing as much damage as he could do.
To put forth this 100-day agenda, it's kind of flies in the face of that.
What I remember early on in the first Trump administration, I was in the Senate dining room having lunch with somebody, and a very conservative Republican told me that Rudy Giuliani, who wanted to be Secretary of State, he's not getting Secretary of State. There's just way too much in his background, this and that. And it was a stopgap on, they weren't trying to stop Trump. They thought that Rudy Giuliani had too many conflicts of interest. There's a reason for the advice and consent.
Exactly. They took their role of advice and consent very seriously. And what are these individuals that can't get in a 53 GOP Senate?
I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm low-key going to miss Rudy Giuliani a little bit. You know? Like, I'm low-key going to miss the OG Trump cabinet because they were evil fucks, but there was like a lot of goofballs there. You know, we got a lot of laughs out of those goofballs. Rudy Giuliani and his like dripping hair dye and stuff. Like we had a lot of fun. We had a whole lot of fun. But now it's like Elon and all these. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with these people too. We're going to watch as they get disgraced over the course of the next 4 years. You know, Elon is going to be the new Rudy Giuliani where everyone is making fun of him by the end of the next 4 years. I know we're going to get to that point, but man, I do miss that OG cabinet. You know, we had a lot of fun dunking on those guys back in the day. Now we got a whole new roster of villains. Whole new roster of villains, guys.
This is the largest Senate, leadership gap that we've seen in a long time. Who are these individuals that he thinks can't clear 50, 51, 52, 53 votes and lead a cabinet department? That, I think, speaks volumes. But as you rightly said, within an hour, 2.5 hours, each of these three leading candidates.
People already constantly dunk on Elon. Violet Kasuga, Elon is one of the most beloved people in America. I know you don't see that because you spend a lot of time in my community and lefty communities where he's constantly made fun of. But like broadly, people think Elon is like literally real life Tony Stark. Like they do. Like the normies still fully back Elon. They think he's a genius. He's very good at building his brand. And Elon took a massive tank to his reputation to gain government power. The amount of making fun of that Elon receives now is nothing even close to Rudy Giuliani in 2020, okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about Rudy Giuliani getting just bullied in 2020, dude. Just bullied. Like, bullied. You don't know. From Sacha Baron Cohen bullied that fucker. The whole internet bullied that fucker when he was sweating off his hair dye. Like, dude, that dude was... He went from being America's governor, or America's mayor, sorry, to being America's laughingstock. One of my favorite political like story arcs during Trump's first 4 years is the fall of Rudy Giuliani from like one of the most respected conservative politicians ever, though quite controversial after his time in office, to a genuine punching bag and laughingstock. It never has there been a greater fall off than Rudy Giuliani's. It's like actually like if you only knew him as Trump's like lawyer guy, then I understand why you don't get it. But like this guy, Rudy Giuliani, was a big political figure back in the day, especially in New York.
Candidates have all acquiesced to what Donald Trump wants for the upper chamber.
I saw on a different cable channel Kash Patel as CIA director. Have you seen that? I don't know if that's real or if that's being floated. But like you're asking who can't get through a 53 Republican
Kash Patel,
Senate?
certainly.
Maybe Kash Patel. I don't know. Maybe he can. But that would certainly be an edgy pick, right?
It'd be out there, yeah.
Nice. So we should hope that Donald Trump takes, or that McDonald's takes care of McDonald. I read McDonald's as Donald Trump. We should hope that McDonald's takes care of Trump, or do we want him to last the term? So, when it comes, I think that Trump, man, do I think Trump survived? Trump's actually fairly active. That's the thing. Like, I know Donald Trump has a bad diet and he's not like fit or anything, but Donald Trump is also surprisingly active for a guy his age. Like, he golfs and stuff. Like, he's out there. He's not like, he could very easily just rot away at a desk if he wanted to. But he does choose to stand a lot for like all these engagements he does while he's up on stage and whatnot. It's hard to say if Trump is like internally in bad health or not. one thing I'll say is that he can project his voice. That's something that suggests that he's probably got a while left in him, is that how much he can project his voice. The fact that he's not super low on breath and that he doesn't need to stop and huff and puff all that often, he's still able to yell and rant and go on crazy like schizo screeds still, that suggests he's still got a lot of energy left in him. I know we dunked on him and said he was low energy and his rallies were low energy, and they were, but apparently it wasn't what the American people felt. He still won the election. I don't know, man. This whole situation is wild. People voting... I really think the Dems need to learn from this whole situation that, like, we need to lean heavy into populist, pro-worker rhetoric. The policy is already great, but the rhetoric needs to be more overtly relatable. I think that Harris should have ran on lowering grocery prices. I think that would have been a winning point. If she ran on the idea of lowering grocery prices, it would have been massive. But we'll see what happens in future elections. I'm excited for the midterms, dude. Like, I am so excited for the midterms. I really want to see if the American people experience a change, or if they will not. We'll see. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you thought my opinions, my takes, my video in general were informative, educational, or entertaining, then consider leaving a like. Consider every thumbs up like a blue ballot cast for YouTube to recommend my content in the algorithm to more people. It really does mean a lot and helps the channel a ton, so I really appreciate it. Oh, and my jawline. You know, you can also leave a like if you like my jawline. Then you can also, of course, comment as well. Commenting boosts the effect of every like, so I really appreciate it if you like and comment. And don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell icon, and turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because trust me, otherwise they will not do so. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, make sure to follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, including my fan Discord, which is totally free to join, and on top of that, I host once a week on Fridays gaming events, call-in streams, or watch parties there. Finally, though, if you want to support me directly, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support the channel, though, I really do appreciate it. Y'all are based and pog, and I hope to see you again.